with what they're most comfortable coding and what they're most comfortable handling in the project.
I'm terrible with GUIs. You should keep me away from them.
Okay.
So
Jalen looks like he's already
yeah,
started the GUI. The GUI looks good. I like it.
Yeah, I'll just continue working on that.
Okay. Um, I had that open. I was going to look at it. When I first ran it, it seemed I think it was blank. Yeah. Okay. Never. Well, it just takes a half a second to load in.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the next stage of the GUI should we enter in the information, and then I guess it would just pull up. We're gonna have randomly generated names for candidates. We'll say like, I wonder if we're gonna have to like. No, okay, never mind. I think whenever we were talking about earlier about how like it can have, we're not gonna have like requirements for each states. I think when he says eligible voters, it should. I don't think I hope he doesn't expect us to like look up all like every single state's voter registration requirements for being an eligible voter. I think we can just have a couple basic ones like uh, felonies, and age, obviously, and then being an American citizen. I think if they meet those requirements, it'll be fine. But I can still email them. I'm actually going to start a little notepad about things I want to email them.
it's a good idea.
I mean, at the very minimum, it would definitely be age.
Yeah, that'll be the main one. Anyone have any else like other questions they want to ask him? We were discussing some stuff earlier.
URL, or no, sorry, the UMLs for the class diagrams. I feel like that should be a main focus before we build the classes so we understand where we're
Yes,
going with it.
that's what we were originally trying to do, but we weren't really that familiar with databases. Thank you, Aaron. That helped a lot. You made this database.
No, sure. Well, it's
I haven't taken any database classes or anything like that, so um, but
well, like you said, it's basically just a hash map that can save and restore at this point. But once we subclass it, like I said, we can have like some of the requirements like automatically stop you from like registering someone who's 16 instead of over 18, stuff like that.
and I started. I was about to start. I did start on the activity. Yeah, the activity diagram, but I realized that's kind of like a after thing, and so is the state
Did he
diagram.
give us a list of what diagrams we actually need?
Yeah, the state. It says it. I read them all somewhere. I think it was. I think it was in the report section.
Yeah, it's in the deliverables on page 3.
Yeah, UML class diagram, activity state, and use case diagram. He said they need to be UML diagram include as much detail as possible. Classes, association, multiplicities, attributes. Um, but I think everyone should have access to the UML diagram. Started with it was pretty crude and we were just kind of spitballing. But now that everyone's here, we can really. I think we should be able to finish it. So if you press on the UML diagram and open it up, you can. I think at the top it'll say you can actually open it in the website. You all should be able to edit it. Yeah, open with diagrams.net. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah. Y'all access it and edit it.
Let's see. Oh, okay. I see it now. Open with diagrams.net. Yeah.
But if anyone has any ideas to think, like, please just throw them out. Do you think you can make the UML better? Or this is just kind of something we threw together. We're gonna have the statistics are gonna be in the results class. Results class probably be gonna have to be associated with I'd imagine for the votes. And I'm trying to think of any other classes we need. We need two databases. So there's a certain way databases are played in UMLs.
A certain way they're what?
Certain way UMLs are like
Oh, like how we
displayed.
would represent them?
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be that different from any other collection, I would think.
For the president, vice president, senate, and house representative classes, could we just keep those classes inside of the database?
Keep the classes inside the database? What do you mean?
Like whenever we create the database or the other database for
Mhm.
the one, it says in the document it wants us to have a database for the candidates.
Mhm.
What's this information about the candidates?
I think by information, he literally just means the objects themselves. So, like, the candidate A object, the candidate B object, and those objects contain the information about them.
So here, we need to add in that database. That database is going to be database containing eligible voter database. This one, and then you can fill that one out if you want with all of the values and data types you put in there.
So I thought when I was trying to open it that it was just opening like my own copy of it, but you're saying that we can all share the same
Yeah,
one?
it's shared between them.
Okay, well, I think I must have opened it wrong then. Let me go back and find it again.
You have any questions or concerns, Bobby?
I'm not a big talker. I just I'm watching. I'm available for anything really. I've been coding for a long time, so
You see anything that you think is wrong, or do you think that it would be easier if we changed?
only problem is I can't zoom out.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out. Couldn't figure out how to. Oh, wait, there it is. Okay, it's the top left under edit.
I do think address and person should be a inner class as well, so you can add functionality to it.
Okay. I think in the we do that in the person. No, we made date of birth its own class. Okay.
It's just
Yeah,
so we can like extract the zip code or anything without having to get the whole address.
okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that. So we can come. Wait, how do you how do they represent classes inside of embedded classes in UML?
The only way I know to do it is to aggregate, make it an aggregated class on the outside.
Okay.
And then obviously it would look kind of like a method and it would show in the class, but it shouldn't be public. It should probably be protected.
You said it should aggregate off of the person class?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get my cursor up here.
There is another symbol that is like a circle with a plus in it, and I think that's more correct for interclasses. I'm looking it up right now. So
I mean, like by protected classes.
no, where the diamond would go, it'd be a circle and like a little plus sign inside it instead.
Okay. Or the to represent aggregation.
Yes, it's going to represent that it's an inner class, which will be aggregated, obviously. And the same for the date of birth class, because we added functionality by adding it as an inner class.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's great little. Oh my God.
We already adjusted the date of birth and so Bobby, is there any part of the project that you would feel most comfortable working on and coding?
Whatever y'all give me, not the database, if it's in a hash map. If it was SQL, I would totally run with it. But I've only done SQL with PHP, so I'm not really sure. I'd have to learn how to figure it out with Java, but it shouldn't be too hard. But it sounds like we're not going that route anyway. So
Well, do you think we should switch to SQL?
honestly, I like the idea of keeping it raw, but the hash maps, we should probably make it more readable, if that makes sense. As in, like, person wise, not like, for computers readable, but like for us, like adding, it looked really, I don't know how to put it, confusing, but I mean, not really that confusing because I know hash maps, but more, more representative of what's actually going on. I believe you can give each attribute a name, like key and value, and use a semicolon to split it up. I'm not quite sure. I jump around with languages a lot, so
Well, I made the first database class I made generic on purpose. So because the candidate database and the voter database are going to be different. So that's why I use like words like key and record and stuff like that. But
yeah, that makes sense.
if you think I should just make the two different classes by themselves without having the shared interface, I don't know.
No, it all looks good. I was just, I don't even know what I'm really saying. I would have to look at it to tell you. I'm gonna have to pull it up.
So do both y'all think using an SQL database would be
I've never used it outside of a framework that sets it up for you pretty much. I know that you can use it with just setting up like the database driver, but I mean, I don't know if that'll give us difficulties or not.
and you said there is a version of SQL Lite where you don't have to have it.
Yeah, the light version, it's not running on a separate server. It's pretty much just a file sitting on your directory.
How does that work whenever you need to access it? Is it just like an exe that gets activated whenever you run the program?
Well, I mean, it reads from it and writes from it. So
So we can switch to SQL. I'm not familiar with SQL, but it seems like y'all are much more familiar with it. Jalen, do you know
It's like
SQL?
English. It's probably like the easiest language to learn. It's very English, basically.
Do you know any SQL, Jalen?
No, I don't.
Brandon, do you know any SQL?
I think this might be the first time I've ever heard of SQL. I'm gonna have to like, I'll have to like look it up to see what it even is, and probably sit fit for quite a while.
Um, So I think we should just uh we could. Do you all think y'all could handle dealing with SQL? How much do you think using SQL would mess with the rest of the code? Would all of it have to start implementing? Y'all like would the rest of the code have to pull from the database?
Only the things it's looking for. It's in principle, it's just grabbing information and putting information there. So I mean, if the class doesn't require it to grab or pull information, then it's not going to.
We have 10 more minutes in this Zoom meeting. Apparently, I think it just cuts the entire meeting off.
You could probably just restart it if they don't like
Well,
straight
we
up
already
limit you
have
to.
our recorded time. So I can just put up my drive and share it with you guys, and we could just move back to the Discord.
Looking at your sample database, it looks a lot less confusing now. I think it was because I was on my laptop, honestly. So I apologize for the confusion.
That's okay.
Considering since me, Jalen, and Brandon aren't really familiar with SQL, you said it's pretty simple to learn, but I think it'd just be easier now if we have starting a whole new database. I mean, I feel like we did not even get enough time to even do this project. Like,
I
there's
agree.
a lot in it. I feel like this should be given us to this at like the very beginning.
Yeah,
The
pretty
timing
more
doesn't
files.
help either.
So I think we can just stick with the database we have now, and we can make a separate one for um, the other class for the candidates, separate database for the candidates. And
Well,
for
right, and like I said, the voter database will be inheriting from this. It won't be this generic. I didn't want to have to write the same things twice if I was going to be
but this is already pretty. I feel
persisting
like,
and restoring from a file, you know?
yeah,
So
well, I feel
that's
like
the
this
only
is
reason
already
I would
pretty
do
close
this.
to what the database would need to be. I think the requirements where we have to be able to insert people into the database and take people out as well. And I don't see, other than it just holding people, requirements for them to be a valid voter. I don't think we would even need to. It is inheriting it. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the voter database will inherit from the generic database, and then we can add restrictions such as but before someone is added, that person has to be at least 18, or otherwise they can throw an exception.
So we're going to create two more databases that inherit from this one.
Yes, a voter
Okay.
database and a candidate database, and those would just hold
An
all the eligible
abstract
voters,
basis,
and the other one would
abstract
hold the candidates,
Okay. I was just making sure I'm on the same page.
if that sounds okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then databases. Is there anything else we have? We'll still need to calculate the statistics. Then we still need to make a voter class.
Well, a lot of that we can move over from the person class and just keep what's relevant in person and move the rest over to voter, I guess. If there's
I'm starting to, like you said earlier,
well, if there is
I
anything
feel like
else, Brent.
voter is a lot less relevant now that we separated the date of birth, and address from it. I think we really can just get rid of it. And I feel like I only wanted it just so we could show that we were using inheritance on something. Learned it during the class. Like, did he give us any specific methods of the designs he wants us to use, like the ones we learned in class or anything like that? Or any
I don't think he
requirements?
mentions any design patterns in the document. I mean, he might be alluding to some, but I don't think he mentions them flat out.
All right. I'm gonna add some more stuff to Notepad for questions. He also like I'm assuming a lot of this is just like it looks like he took it from something else. Because some of these like it says some things need to be free. I don't really understand what he means by that. Or in the TXT. I don't know if he wants us to because don't certain states only have certain amount of representatives. Have less.
Well, yeah, every state has at least one, and then beyond that, it's based on population.
So you think he would want us to
Have a variable number of representatives.
yeah. Well, they're only
Yeah, they can just be added by whoever's like the admin or whoever's in control of that.
okay.
Shouldn't it just involve the people that are up for election, which is split? It's not always. It's not always everybody. Well, it's never everybody's representatives at one time. So
Yeah, like senators every 6 years, but they're staggered. So sometimes you will have them, sometimes you'll have one, sometimes you'll have the other one.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to add or talk about?
did anybody read that chapter, the fourth chapter in that book he had us set up for in the project? There's a little link to a book. You download it and you're supposed to read chapter 4 to understand how to better a voting system, because I think that's the main goal, is to make a better voting system, or at least try to.
You guys have to buy this book? Oh, you can download a free PDF. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to buy it.
He linked us a couple of stuff. I looked at the one on the bottom of the page, the test standards and voting performance. And I looked at the other one, the voting accessibility.
Oh, that's another thing. Has anybody here used the black box?
I'm not sure what he meant by that.
Yeah, me either.
It's I'm imagining from the way it read, it's a tool. So it's another tool we get to learn.
Where is that mentioned?
I believe it's at the bottom.
Oh, that's for the testing. It says he says it's optional, but I feel like we're gonna have to test it.
Yeah, I agree. I can look into whatever that is.
All right. So we can assign who does what and until the upcoming or the next Scrum meeting. I really want to try to like operate this like a normal Scrum meeting, but it just seems like so sudden. It's like hard to put everything together, and it's so broad.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, are you going to work on the databases?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Like I said, I just need to like my subclasses will be based on the subclasses of person. So I guess when those are figured out, then I can make the subclasses of the database, if that's okay. And I guess I will mess around with this UML thing. Like you can see what I'm doing.
Let me go back to it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this is working. Yeah, we're all sharing the same one. So and this just saves automatically, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, it's constantly saving itself.
Okay, so I can fill out those three
So
boxes.
I just want to make sure I have this correct. Your database classes will take information from voter candidates.
Okay, so this one, eligible voter database, will be full of objects of this type of voter.
Okay.
And this one will be full of objects of this type.
All right. Okay.
And it'll just be a way of grouping them together and persisting them.
All right. So for the Senate and
And
the
also
House,
having certain safeguards like the age restriction thing.
so for the Vice President, Senate, and the House Rep classes that we have right now, do you think those could be? I was thinking about just turning them into. I don't know. I feel like we don't need a class for each one. I feel like we could somehow compact that into the candidates.